Hello, good evening. It's Joyful Christian Hermit. And I was Grumpy Hermit yesterday, but this morning, first thing, God really snapped me out. And I knew it was God doing this. I noticed on these scriptures that I get every day on my laptop through a site, they include a saint now and then, different saints. And the one that they had for today was one that really was intended for me and for many people, I'm sure, but to give me a good lesson, a good sharp reminder to snap me out of my complaining and self-pitying for getting sick, and I think I'm doing better. It comes and goes, it goes down lungs, but my fever isn't as much. I keep with the Tylenol. It's just, I'm just sick. And with me, it settles into every bad part, including my failed knee surgery. Somehow the sickness or the pain or whatever, the sickness of anything else settles into my spine, my neck, my head. Of course, my head's jammed with sinus issues. And I don't know if it's an infection or not yet. It feels like it is. And I'm 73, going on 74, and know my body pretty much to know. And if you do have an infection and you don't take an antibiotic eventually, it can really become a dangerous situation health-wise. So I don't mess around, but I do naturopathic things. In fact, I had mentioned to the young man who is sick, so sick, and well, like me, but maybe worse because he'd been sick already for 2 weeks. Now he's into nearly 3 weeks of sickness. In fact, it is 3 weeks. Um, so I offered to bring over my boiled sage in boiled thyme, real strong. In fact, my spiritual dog, once I took him a quart of it, and he told me later he spit it out and told one of the nuns to say uh, get rid of it. He says, "What's she doing, trying to kill me?" Because doesn't taste good, but um, you know, it works. And then also you can uh, smolder sage, smoke it through your house. The Native Americans did that. It helped cleanse out their teepees, and it was strong against illnesses. So I use different techniques. But when I know it's an infection, then I get what I need to get rid of it. I just have enough other health issues, sufferings, that I don't want to just be worse and worse and inconvenient other people having to deal with me. Since, hermit, you live alone. There's no one there to take care of you but God, and God is great, and He does help. But if I have to go to the hospital or something, then that's a problem for neighbors or help take care of the dogs while I'm ill. But this time I insisted not, I don't want anyone to get this. If it's something contagious, I will not have anyone in here. So I've managed with the dogs. It hasn't been easy at all. Today was better. So we'll see. I'm getting some antibiotics tomorrow. And my daughter had been to Mexico and ironically had texted, did I want any Z-Pack? So yes, yes. And then I immediately got this, and so it was good timing. If I'm not better tomorrow, I'm taking over the counter stuff and drinking this lemon steeped in boiling water, strong. Um, so trying my best. But I had no reason, I had no right, especially as a victim soul of Jesus Christ, to be complaining and I got very down in the dumps last night, self-pitying and angry even. That I angry at myself that I didn't stop to ask, are you on antibiotics? Then I would have known he was contagious. If you're not, for 24 hours at least, then you're not contagious. So here's who snapped me out. Get my glasses on, and it's just amazing God's timing. He is taking care of me. My daughter, I think she landed tonight, and maybe tomorrow. I don't want anyone to even, I should just leave it out in the front yard or something. I don't want anyone getting near. So, but I'll if I'm I'll take one of the pills. If I get better, then I'll know that it's infection for sure. Because otherwise I won't get better from taking it. Then it won't matter. Anyway, so this is Saint Servulus or Servolo. He's a saint for today for December 23rd, and he died around 590, so late 6th century. They just say here he was a paralyzed beggar who spent all this time praying outside St. Clement's Church in Rome. The other thing that I read didn't give his location, but I read that he was born with palsy, like cerebral palsy, and it was so severe that he couldn't even sit up. He could not lift his hand up to even feed himself. He couldn't move his legs. And so his siblings, his mother had his siblings take him to the church, this St. Clement's in Rome it is, and would lay him out there, just lay him out on the ground and beg, put a little basket by him for people to drop coins in. And, when he, of course that was when he was a little bit older. She didn't do it when he was an infant, but when he could talk, he would ask people to sing, to read scripture to him. And he would keep asking them, anyone who would come by, who would stop and read scripture, read the Bible. He memorized verses that way by listening. So he was an intelligent young man, little boy. And he learned the Bible that way from having people read scriptures. Because, who wouldn't feel sorry for him? Most people would stop and give some money or read. And then he'd also ask them to sing hymns. But that came later. He sang the hymns earlier on because he would hear them. He would hear them being sung in the church. And he prayed. It was just incredible. When I read about him, just the short blurb I did, that didn't even give his location at all, but I knew it was first thing this morning. I knew it was even before I had another rough night and fell back to sleep around 4, but woke up maybe at 6 and started reading the scriptures for the day, and then this saint. And I knew God was saying, straighten up and fly right, get a grip. I'm in good condition compared to so many people. Yes, I have pain, but God has given me the ability to distract myself from a lot of it. And I finally have a wonderful pain doctor, a neurosurgeon, an injection specialist who care. They're trying things. And I have medication. Finally medication that helps keep it tamped down enough that I can think clearly and function. So very blessed, but I just lost it yesterday and didn't even think about being a victim soul and I knew I was to offer. I mean, I did think about who I could offer to, and I've got a little thing on that later I'll mention. But so in the Roman Martyrology of 1916, here's the entry. At Rome, blessed Servulus, of whom St. Gregory writes that a paralytic from his early years, he was just a boy, to the end of his life, he remained lying on a porch, that's a portico, near St. Clement's Church, and being invited by the chant of angels, he went to enjoy the glory of paradise. You know, the angels sang when they took him to heaven. At his tomb, frequent miracles are wrought by Almighty God. So that was written by St. Gregory way back. So this young man, maybe sort of like Charlene Richard, the young girl from Louisiana, who so many miracles. She has provided many miracles through her prayers for people. Well, God provides the miracles, but she's the intercessor. She's the link for what she suffered and for her innocence, and because God chose her to be an intercessor for us on the other side. So here's what the monks of Ramsgate wrote. Oh dear, no. Let me get this off of there. Well, see if I can get it. Why does this do... There, good. In 1921, Servulus, they call him, and it just, my thing just did that again. A holy man who, paralyzed all his life long, passed his days in prayer in the porch of the Church of St. Clement in Rome. When the hour of his death arrived, he bade those surrounding him to cease from their chant of psalms, as he already heard their words taken up by the angels in heaven. St. Gregory the Great describes the scene in one of his homilies. And well, I guess I lost that portion. I'm so sorry. This is from Butler's of the Saints. Anyway, what I also read is that Servulus asked the people around to sing hymns for him as he was dying. He knew he was dying, and he asked them to sing hymns. But evidently they were singing psalms. So I'm getting a little more information here about this incredibly strong young man. And he wasn't that old when he died, because what I read elsewhere was that the palsy started to affect his organs, and his organs failed. And of course, being so disabled and unable to move, he wouldn't have much of a chance for his body to develop even, or to be strong, to withstand anything. So in this, I hope I can read this. In this saint was exemplified what our divine Redeemer has taught us of Lazarus, the poor man full of sores, who lay before the gate of the rich man's house. Servulus was a beggar and had been afflicted with the palsy from his infancy, so that he was never able to stand, sit upright, lift his hand to his mouth, or turn himself from one side to another. His mother and brother carried him into the porch of St. Clement's Church at Rome, where he lived on the alms of those that passed by. Whether he could spare from his own subsistence, he distributed among other needy persons. So he even shared what people gave him. The sufferings and humiliation of his condition were a means of which he made the most excellent use for the sanctification of his own soul by the constant exercise of humility, patience, meekness, resignation, and penance. He used to entreat devout persons to read the Holy Scriptures, and he heard them with such attention as to learn them by heart. His time he consecrated by assiduously singing hymns of praise and thanksgiving to God, and his continual pains were so far from dejecting or distracting him that they proved a most pressing motive for raising his mind to God with greater ardor. It's just so inspiring. And I needed this reminder. After several years thus spent, his distemper having seized his vitals, he perceived his end to draw near. In his last moments, he desired the poor and pilgrims who had often shared in his charity to sing sacred hymns and psalms by him, whilst he joined his voice with theirs. Then in a sudden he cried out, "Silence! Do you not hear the sweet melody and praises which resound in the heavens?" Soon after he had spoken those words, he expired, and his soul was carried by angels into everlasting bliss about the year 590. The body of Saint Servulus was buried in Saint Clement's Church and honored with miracles according to the Roman martyrology. This is what was going to be said in that other one that I couldn't get the last lines. St. Gregory the Great concludes the account he gives of him in a sermon to his people, but to me. Literally, I needed this. That the whole behavior of this poor sick beggar loudly condemns those who, when blessed with good health and a plentiful fortune, neither do good works nor suffer the least cross with tolerable patience. Here I am on a comfortable bed, able to sit up, able to walk around, able to get medications, have on hand here over-the-counter stuff to take. I'm blessed with 2 pets that have been concerned for me. They show concern. They can tell I'm sick. Been such good babies today. After Lovey yesterday, was that just yesterday or the day before? Got loose and ran like a loon around the pond and leaped in and carried on and wouldn't come home, and Mercy was beside herself. He finally came soaked, and he's been good ever since. But anyway, yes, to think that I have so many blessings and my suffering is nothing compared to what people have. And, I just was ashamed of myself today, really, truly ashamed. And St. Gregory is right with his sermon. How dare I, in other words, to be this way and to have gotten down last night, emotionally down, despairing. The devil working on me. I woke up in the night. I had YouTube on earlier and I fell asleep. And I woke up and it went on, and a priest exorcist was talking in the YouTube. He was being interviewed. He happened to come from a Midwest state, from a diocese. They're a big diocese. He's an exorcist priest. And there he was in the middle of the night, or it was playing in the middle of the night, talking about, how the devil will creep in when we don't feel well, when we're tired, and will actually be allowed to do things to our bodies, cause us suffering, little sufferings and things. So, but we'll try to take advantage when we're not feeling well. And I thought, we have to just be on the guard, the armor of God, and not allow ourselves to get down when we're suffering extra or at all. So I've made peace with myself. I was angry with myself. First, I'll admit I was a little ticked off, but I shouldn't have been. And I'm so sorry. I left a ranting comment, and I took off. I'm not opposed to naturopathic medicines, but I do think if we take them, we should tell someone else that we're still contagious and recognize that they aren't strong enough, but they will work over time and or soon sometimes with some people. It depends on how sick we are and how our bodies react to things. And I've tried before going total natural and ended up very, very ill. So, I learned the hard way. And the young man was writing to me. I've been concerned about him. And he, if he wanted me, it was before I got so sick, though. I was going to take over some of my strong stuff, my herbal concoctions that I make. I even have horehound. I grow horehound. That's really strong and be pretty bitter. But you can make it with honey into a candy, but you shouldn't really have sugar that much when you're sick or have a sore throat. They say germs tend to collect on it. So, but horehound straight, drinking it, oh my goodness. It's rough, but it's strong and it's cleansing. But even doing that hasn't handled my sinus infections. But I offered to bring things over. He says, well, he thinks that God is still has things to work out in him. And I'll talk about sideways crosses another time more so, but I consider that a sideways cross. It's not a functional cross. It's a goofy cross. And it's one that doesn't work right and isn't really a kind of a cross that we can be crucified on, a sideways one going sideways, And so I don't think that God is working on us when we are allowing ourselves to be sick. And he's sick a lot, this young man is. He's early 30s, 31, 32, I think 32 now. And not when God created matter, he created the matter that chemicals are made from, the elements of the earth and the air and hydrogen and all. And he created man with brains that they could combine matter to come up with chemicals and utilize nature to develop with chemicals, to develop such as the medicine that took care of typhoid fever, for which a man from my hometown, a young man, he was a soldier, and he was helping with the Panama Canal, and he offered to be in the test. He didn't know who was going to have the actual medicine or who was going to have the placebo. And he knew the consequences, but he decided to do it to save thousands and thousands and thousands from dying from typhoid fever. He happened to be in the placebo group as he found out. He got very ill and died. But those in the group that got the medicine that had been created lived. And they knew they had a medication that would save people's lives from typhoid fever. And they all had to be subjected to be bitten by mosquitoes to take this test. And I remember learning about him. I think his last name was Messenger or something. Learning about him in the 4th grade. And I've always had an admiration and a respect for antibiotics. And when I was a little child, 4 or 5 years old, 5 years old, I started getting tonsillitis a couple of times a year. And if it weren't for penicillin, I'd be dead or deaf or something bad, because I needed penicillin. I would have gotten well. Finally, they got my tonsils out. I think, so I look back, it was too late. It was when I was just about 10 years old in the fourth grade. So I went 5 years of having tonsillitis, 2, sometimes 3 times a year, in the winter usually, in school. But something would start it off, and then my tonsils were just ruined. And yes, you want to keep your tonsils, but mine were, I could even open, they were huge, and I could even see the bubbles on them, the pus bubbles, and they were just a mess. And of course, I'm a little bit odd, but I had the surgeon put them in a jar for me. I wanted to see what they looked like out. So they were in formaldehyde, and I kept them for a long time till my parents made me get rid of them. But I have the rods from my back surgery, because the surgeon 5 years ago, he had to dig out the old instrumentation from 1987 and redo the whole, up halfway up my back. And so I asked for that instrumentation. Well, I knew it was some titanium, some kind of very nice metal. I was going to make like crucifixes out of it. I have it over on the dresser in a baggie. But people were laughing. The doctor and the nurses that would come, you're the one that wanted her instrumentation out. You've got to have a sense of humor and be creative with these things. But I lost it yesterday, and I'm so sorry. But I do appreciate, and I am a both and person. I like to use reason, and I've been selling things. So that's one of my bed tasks. And so in selling things online, my daughter had a bunch of stuff that she wanted me just she was divorcing, and it was a couple of years ago. And then I collapsed after. I was just exhausted. I didn't know my thyroid had gone out. And so I was just wiped out, and I had memory fog. I helped her so much with that. It was very stressful and upsetting, because you tend to relive your own when someone else close is going through that. It was sad. It was very sad. And 2 people who should not have gotten married, they weren't meant for each other. And finally, after 20 years, they finally parted. Much better for them now. But it was hard, and a child involved, so that was hard too. So to get through all that. But she had stuff she didn't want, and had there a couple boxes, couple of bags, and a couple of boxes. And in fact, there's even another box out there, or 2 more I got to go through. And so I'm listing stuff for my Nigerian fund, for Our Lady of Nigeria, because I'm sending money. In fact, I was supposed to go to the bank on this morning. I was too sick. I couldn't drive. I wouldn't dare want to give this to anyone. But I know people tend to do that. They'll just go and do if they can, and figure other people will take their chances. But a hermit doesn't have built up immunity. And I can tell I'm not a pure person, because I get sick. I think maybe the Virgin Mary maybe never got sick because she was so pure. I talked about that in the other video. But so I've been selling things, not a lot, but every little bit helps. So I sold a couple of Christmas puzzles. One of them I had gifted my daughter, and someone else must have gifted the same one. I had 2 of the same kind. People get great bargains, and I don't think it had even been used. And what else was I selling? Oh, these cute little pink boots. And then I'm selling some of my own stuff. I cannot stand, I used to like to make sugar cookies and decorate them at Christmas and other times of the year with icing and all these sprinkles. So I have about $25, $30 worth of sprinkles. And some of the containers aren't even open. And so I put $10 on, like there's I think 12 or something, 12 or 13. Some of them are big bottles. And so I said $10, which was a bargain for those things. One of them even a nice glass container, decanter kind of a thing, gold for like wedding stuff, gold sprinkles, and anyway, so this person wanted 5. She says, well, I'm not trying to lowball you, but I only have $5 left, and I can't afford more. And I said, you see how much these are? And I wrote back, I said, well, if you only have $5, maybe you should be making cookies. Use that $5 on something healthy for your children or to help with your gas bill or something, if that's all you've got left. Well, a while later, I said, well, $8, but I said, no, I said, this is a big value. You're offering 1/4 at the time. And then I looked up some of the prices and realized it was 1/6 to 1/7 of the price of what she was getting. And I think 5 of the bottles weren't even used. So, I just, but she wrote back and she says, well, I went to Walmart and I got a packet of different colors for $4.98. And I wrote back, I said, well, I'm so happy for you. You got some. I wanted to write, well, how could you pay for the tax and your gas to get there if you only had $5 left? But it was not worth it. But I decided I'd got to pray for this woman. So I looked up on Walmart. I thought, well, maybe I am way overcharging for all this good stuff that, a cake decorator, baker would want. And I'll give them to my neighbor. She has grandchildren. She bakes a lot, or her kids do. And because she helps me so much, I always pay her for things, but I could give her that. She'd be thrilled. That'd be more meaningful than $5. So anyway, and I'll do it if no one buys it for the 10 or 8 or some 10. I can stick with 10. Because I have plenty of other stuff I can give her for her grandchildren, but it's just the idea, not lowballing you, but I only have $5 left. And so I just thought, no, I got to pray for her. I wrote back, I'm so happy, but I looked them up and it was like, what was it, 5 ounces or 5.9 ounces, little teeny thing. And who knows, I'm not going to add it. There's probably 2 pounds worth of stuff out there. It's just so dumb. But I thought, no, I'm going to pray for this one. But I wrote back and said I was so happy she got what she needed, and for her $5, that was all she had, and that was fine. Doesn't matter. But what people go through. Then somebody bought these Christmas puzzles, didn't dicker at all. Drove quite a ways because she could look online and see what they charge. And she was getting also a very good price, but didn't haggle me. And was just so pleased and happy. And I thought, I'm going to pray for her. Then my daughter had these cute little pink Lands' End snow boots, little low ones, that were nearly new. And my daughter's a real good shopper, so she probably got them on sale. But I looked up what they would be new, and I cut them down 2/3, way down, $15. Well, this woman you don't call, they just go through Facebook. They don't know who you are or anything. and didn't dicker at all, wanted them, but she wanted to know if I could bring them to her because she lives in my area, she said. But I'm too sick. I said, no, I can't right now. I'm too sick. But she said she couldn't because she'd had her toe just amputated and had a hard time driving still. But I said, well, I'm sick, but wait till, if you want to wait till I'm better. Well, so today she sent a message that she was going to try to get out. She could stop by, but I didn't see it for a while. I was not well. I wasn't looking at it. And so it was too late for that, but she started talking. Turns out she's had 40 surgeries. She had a horrible ex-husband experience. She lives within a mile, maybe 3/4 mile. And she had to flee. He beat her up a lot. She's an older woman now, but she's had all these surgeries. She's got really bad bone problems. So I'm praying for her, and she's thrilled. She's going to come tomorrow to get those boots. And I'm happy she's got them. So this has been interesting, just to pray for people of all types. And I've gotten a little bit of money to start saving up. I have a little tin can I use for Father Vincent, for the people in Nigeria, for the people he needs, these priests in this ramshackle building. So God is good, and I thought of this saint, Saint Servulus. Let me look it up. My goodness, my memory. Can't remember from one moment to the next. This saint, let me get to the spot here. Get to this spot. Servulus, Saint Servulus of Saint Clements of Rome. And thanks be to God for him and his witness to me this morning, because I could be decent to the woman who was lowballing me, but still wished her well, and I'm genuinely happy that she got her sprinkles at the price she wanted, plus some tax, a little bit more. Not these nice sprinkles that I had, though. Not Joyful Hermit sprinkles. But anyway, I'm being humorous here. I'm not serious about it. In fact, I take all of this not too seriously. But other than, it's great having money build up for Father Vincent to have in Nigeria. It'll go so much further in there, but in Nigeria. But yeah, so it's just interesting, though, how quickly God will reach in and straighten the hermit out when she's been naughty. So, just had a bad attitude, and I'm offering my sufferings for the young man who's sick, and I'm offering them for the people, for like the woman with her bone issues, and a lot of her surgeries she wrote are because of instrument failures that happened in the surgeries, because she has to have a lot of metal in her body to keep her bones together, very weak bones. And she says she doesn't know if some of it might be from the beating she took from her husband, but ex-husband. And she says she has many guns, and and he knows it, so he won't come to the state to get her. And she says she's a crack shot, and I don't have any doubt from just the little bit she wrote that she could defend herself if she needed. So it's amazing what God brings into our lives, even when we're in a bed, and and now I am more in bed with the sickness. But I got to the door, and I just put my arm out, because I let people know, can't talk to me, I'm sick, here's your item. But I'm doing better, and thanks so much, and God bless God, Jesus and the Holy Spirit for how they work in our lives. This is everyday kind of miracles that we need. I just love being aware of them. So, of how God works with us, whether we've been good or bad, he comes through and keeps us in line and gives us build up too when we need it. So, talk to you later. Um, tomorrow is that some of you are already on Christmas Eve day. So we'll keep going. Beautiful Advent season and soon Christmas.